morning. I am Ross Mirkarimi. I am a supervisor here in San Francisco representing the 5th District, and I have the distinct pleasure and honor in welcoming all of you to this fabulous crowd today to really a watershed moment, a first summit of its kind. And I think everybody, for yourselves and the people who are not able to make it here, give yourselves a round of applause for attending our first San Francisco Safe Communities Reentry Council. Now, I just want to say that I think the first barrier that we should dismantle is the prohibition from bringing coffee in this room. Something I'm a little concerned about. I don't know about you, but I need my coffee right now. But I think, in particular, in order to, I think, help set the tone, I think, for this, what I think is going to be a very sort of mind-intensive day, which I think promises to challenge us, challenge city government, challenge infrastructure and systems as we know it. First acknowledge, I think, some of even the more minor breakthroughs that we've already achieved. Let me just show you a copy of the San Francisco Examiner, front page today. City focuses on parolees in bid to reduce crime. Now, the reason why this might probably seem kind of benign or insignificant, but it's huge. And it's huge in many ways, because in our efforts to try to make better sense of how to forward a smart thinking city like San Francisco, to help reduce the levels of crime that have completely distressed so many pockets of a city that professes to be, I think, of course, progressive in its values, innovative in its ideas and strategies, but yet paralyzed in many sense of the way in trying to break inroads and make inroads in helping those who are returning from the prison system. And the fact is that we haven't been able to do it. I don't think many cities, to the degree that we would hope that they have been able to do it. And we have learned that while we try to tackle ways to empower communities, reclaim streets, that sort of secret that continues to burrow its way underneath, when you have a population of 1,500 to 2,000 formerly incarcerated individuals living in our city in a day-to-day level, and yet we know that you can correlate where that population lives in areas that are impoverished, or areas where we see crime-impacted communities more pronounced, acute of the fact that there is not sufficient or quality housing, acute to the fact that domestic violence or violence within the community or one's household is more pronounced, that law enforcement and social service agencies seem bereft of any kind of recourse to do something about it on a systemic level. The fact that we were able to bring together, which you would think would be conventional thinking unto itself, the Sheriff's Department, the District Attorney's Office, the Public Defender, members of the Board of Supervisors like myself, the Executive Branch, the Mayor, and all you hard-working nonprofit CBOs who have struggled and wrestled with the frustration as to why your messages are not getting heard. The fact we were able to convene a conference for the first time to begin to tackle these issues and then see it in the mainstream press projected in such a way today, I consider that a watershed moment, and so should you. Now, what this does, it calls us on our vanity. San Francisco, like every city who tries to be the top-notch city of the United States, and yes, we have our vanity too, that tries to be the greenest city, that tries to be sort of the most, I think, kind of innovative, cutting-edge, bellwether city that we hope other cities try to pick up the pace. But what this does is that this is an honest reflection today, this summit, is an honest reflection about what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, and what it is we're just not doing at all. And it obligates us. It obligates the intergovernmental task force that we've assembled together and with CBOs that we actually help fund and subsidize, and ones that we should, that we may not, and ones maybe that we shouldn't, that we do. Because what it does is it finally takes a yardstick. It finally asks the questions and tries to demand the answers to make sure that are we being as effective as we possibly can. And it also forces those elected officials who gives lip service to the idea that they want to fight crime, but yet have absolutely no idea on how to deal with the insidious variables that continue to keep crime pronounced because they refuse to deal with poverty, they refuse to deal with the institutional racism or the racism that certainly continues to handicap those who come out of the system and cannot get the traction they want in order to reintegrate themselves back into society. Do I think we're going to accomplish this in one single day? Absolutely not. But what I do think is that all of us banded together, and we really do have quite a talent pool of people here who, beyond their sincere intentions and motivations, are actually willing to marshal resources, marshal the kind of smarts and the kind of vision and focus that we're able to appeal to the common decent denominators of common decency and humanity, so that collectively we're working together to make sure that we're making the inroads. Do I think it's going to stop the parolees, ex-offenders, formerly incarcerated coming from San Francisco? No, and that's not even the intention. The intention is that if a supervisor like myself wants to be proud of a community and a great diversity of our community, that is also a community that wrestles with the economic and social stigmas that keep them down, then it is my responsibility to make sure that those who have been handicapped, especially after they do their time, are also given the same fair chances as we would expect for anyone else. It does not make sense to me. It does not make sense to me, and it would be a dereliction of my duty if I did not call attention to the fact that if, in fact, we like to profess that some remedies in order to stem the tide of the kind of repeat offenses that occur because those cannot get the traction that they want as they try to reintegrate back into community, back into society, back into sort of a employment environment, that if an ex-offender had spent their time and they were able to cultivate all the proper credentials, if they want to go and pursue sort of a culinary career, if they received all the kind of credentials that gives them that skill, that gives them that pedigree while they're in the system, and then when they get out of the system, they can't even get a job, maybe if they could, in a restaurant as a dishwasher. Where have we gone wrong? And I think it's important that if, in fact, that people have the apprentice skills, they can prove that they have those skills, and they are wanting to do good, yet if government denies that very intention, then it's government's responsibility to make sure that they open those doors. And that's exactly why we're here today, to pry those doors open now. Now, as I said, this is going to be a long day. We've got incredible panels here, so I commend you for spending as long of the time as you plan to. But I also ask that you should consider this homework. This is not a one-day assignment, and this is just not something for elected officials like myself or Jeff Adachi, our wonderful public defender, who, by the way, his department has shouldered a lot of the organizing and putting this together. You should round of applause.